Scott McTominay. Has Scott McTominay saved Ten Hag's job for now? Listen, it was a painful game to watch as a Man United fan. What is going on with the football that we are playing? What is happening to this team? Has Scott McTominay with the last kick of the game? He scored 2 goals literally in stoppage time, in extra time to rescue the game. Because up until that point, I could not see United scoring at all. Has Scott McTominay saved Ten Hag's job for now? Or maybe you don't think Ten Hag's job was in jeopardy in the first place. We're going to have to talk about this, guys, today. United have won 2-1 against Brentford, but it was a poor game. We're going to talk about the lineup. The lineup today was not a lineup of a team that is confident, that is playing at home, that wants to play exciting, attacking football. We played with one winger today, with Rashford. We started the game with one winger. So we're going to have to talk about Ten Hag's lineup. We're going to have to talk about the football that we played today, the slow football, the 3, 4, 5 touches. We didn't see any one-touch football. The system that Ten Hag has chosen to play with Bruno and Mount and Casemiro and Amrabat, loads of midfielders. The goalkeeper today, once again, on another day, that mistake would have cost us the game. And it wasn't just the goalkeeper's fault for the first goal, because Casemiro lost the ball as well. And a lot of things happened after Casemiro lost the ball. There's a lot of things that could have been prevented. But once again, we're going to have to talk about Onana and his goalkeeping. And the fact that on another day, we could have lost that game. And perhaps you could argue we should have lost that game. Man, if you are a United fan and you're watching this football and you are happy with what you are seeing, perhaps this channel is not for you, because I'm going to break it down. I'm going to analyze the game today. Yes, United won, but there's a lot to do. And I've said this many times, the manager has a lot of responsibility. The manager has to take a lot of this flack. Let's get into it. A lot to talk about. Rashford and Bruno, once again, those two, the guys that a lot of United fans look to. They've been performing, well, they've been underperforming. They have not been performing this season. And I think it's time for us to start turning on the screw, turning on a bit more scrutiny on those players, because a lot of fans are going to focus on Casemiro's and focus on the Onanas. And yes, those players are making mistakes, but there are players here who've been here for a long time, guys, who do not get a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot for us to talk about on this channel today. If you're not... Let's get into the conversation. Before we start, smash the like, turn the notifications, and if you haven't yet subscribed, subscribe below. This is a therapy session, a post-match debrief, if you would like to say, where we come together, you grab your drink, I grab my drink, I grab my peanut punch, and we just talk about the game, we analyze the game, we talk about what went wrong, what went right, and why. From my perspective, you give me your opinion, we chop it up, and yeah, we have a good show. So let's go straight into it. Lineup. Once again, let's start talking about the lineup. Why Bruno on the wing again? We started off with a packed midfield. We started off with playing defenders in defence for once. So we didn't see Amrabat at left back. We played defenders in defence. We played Lindelof on the left, Dallo on the right, Maguire and Evans in the middle. I was nervous because those defensive two don't have the pace and the power necessary for me in the Premier League. But one thing with Evans will give you calmness. Evans has the maturity. Evans is a good footballer and a good defender, even though he might not have the pace. And in fact, I say he doesn't have the pace, but he looks more mobile than Maguire does. And Maguire is actually younger than Evans. So We started off by playing, the lineup was defenders, at least Ten Hag played defenders in defence. But the midfield is where it got interesting. And once again, he decided to keep playing Bruno, keep playing Rashford. I mean, Bruno's a captain, so he's not going to get dropped. So anybody who thinks Bruno's going to get dropped anytime soon, he's not, no matter how badly he plays. But we had Bruno, Amrabat, Casemiro, and Mount all in the midfield with Rashford. And of course, Højlund up front. So we had really Bruno starting off on the right, drifting in a little bit. Dalot really occupying that side fully by himself. Sometimes Bruno will drip back out there and help Dalot, but you really got Dalot sort of manning the right-hand side all by himself. And within like the first 10 minutes, I thought to myself, why has the manager not played wingers? We're at home at Old Trafford against Brentford, but yet we set up in a way that is negative, that is defensive, that is not attacking, that is not Manchester United. And it seems as if the manager, it looked clearly the way the manager started, the players he started, the manager is under pressure. He is under pressure, of course he is. And it seems to me he's forcing players into the team, into positions that are not theirs because maybe he trusts those players or maybe he thinks those are the better players. But it seems like he's not playing a team. He's just playing his favourite players and making it work somehow in some sort of formation. And that to me is not what I want to see. That's not to me what I want to see my manager do. What I want is my manager play the best team. I want him to have a system and play the best team. I don't want him to play central midfielders at right wing and right backs at left wing and all these things. You don't need to overcomplicate it. And when I see a manager do that, it shows that his back's against the wall, and it shows that to me, this manager is under pressure. He's clearly under pressure. The lineup I didn't really agree with. And the first 10 minutes, I noticed once again United's inability to keep the ball, to rotate the ball. We didn't have the players or the technical players to put their foot on the ball and to rotate it, to keep it moving. One-touch football. We didn't get any of that. Brentford were physical, much more physical than we were within the first 10 minutes. And essentially, the first few minutes, as I always talk about, the first few minutes of the game are very important. United didn't look like the home team. We didn't look like the home team in the first 10 minutes. Brentford did. Bruno, like I said, was drifting infield, trying to get on the ball, but there was no fluidity and cohesion which comes from the training ground. I didn't see any of that. And most importantly, I don't see patterns of play with this United team. But, within the first 25 minutes, Brentford, as I thought they would, scored. And a lot of people are going to talk about this goal from Casemiro's perspective and say that Casemiro made a mistake and it was all Casemiro's fault. So while I understand Casemiro gave the ball away in the first instance, he gave the ball away at the halfway line. Everybody gives the ball away. And there was a lot to do. There's a lot to happen before the goal went in. And United had about 6-7 players behind the ball, and they had about 4 or 5 players in the box. And even though we had all those players in the box and had men behind the ball, the Brentford player, Jensen, was still in space, in the box. His shot was very, very timid and very, very slow. And once again, Onana, in my opinion, should have saved that goal. Now, with Onana, I'm going to say this. Have I seen De Gea miss those shots? Have I seen balls roll underneath De Gea's arms? Yes, we've all seen it many times. We've all seen De Gea make those mistakes many times. So I'm not going to be like, oh my days, David De Gea would have saved that. I can't say that because I've seen De Gea make those exact mistakes against Sevilla, against loads of teams in the history. But one thing I will say is that the level and the quantity of mistakes that Onana is making in a short space of time, I think might be more than the mistakes De Gea has made in a short space of time. And at least De Gea had something to fall on, had something to fall back on, which is the fact that we've seen him make outstanding saves. And because we've seen De Gea make outstanding saves, we can make excuses for him not making some saves sometimes. The sample size for Onana isn't big enough. We haven't seen him make enough incredible saves for us to give him a little bit of leeway for making mistakes. And that is the issue with Onana. He's going to get pelters. He's going to get bottled because of that sort of psychological way that we think and the way that we interpret goalkeepers. Not necessarily only because, and in my opinion, I don't think his goalkeeping ability is that great anyway, but I think he's going to get more heat than he probably should do because there was a lot of things that went wrong with that goal, including the fact that he should have saved that. Casemiro is still one of our best players. He's probably he's still our top goal scorer this year. The way he plays in midfield, the first few games he didn't play too well, then he started getting it better. Either way, Casemiro is not really a traditional number 6. He's more of a box-to-box player. Modric or more perhaps Cruz is the one who sits and plays the ball and passes around. Casemiro is the one who goes box-to-box and tackles. He's more of a Kante. He wins the ball, gives it. He's not a 6 who sits back and dictates play. That is not Casemiro, and it never will be Casemiro. So he's still one of our better players, and I know a lot of the fan base are going in on him, criticising him, and you should do. But let's not act like Rashford and the Brunos and these guys are playing better and they haven't been here for longer. Because they have, and they're playing worse. But yet, some of the criticism for those sort of players isn't there, and that is a problem. But after that goal went in, United did not look like scoring again at all. We did not. Once again, I said we have no width. We had no cohesion in our attack. When the midfielder had the ball, he didn't know where the other midfielder was going to be. When our right winger has the ball, he doesn't know whether the fullback is going to overlap or not. There is no cohesion in our attack. The more technical players, the players who can, control the ball instantly and, play football in tight spaces, rondos, and those sort of players are on a bench, while the sort of like more powerful players are sort of on the pitch. That's also a problem. We don't have the players to keep the ball, and that's not really the type of football the manager kind of wants to play. I see the manager wants to play more of a crazy, pressing, Liverpool, heavy metal type of football with less control. And that's not my type of football to watch. I have to be real with you. The type of football I want to watch is more of a Man City, sort of, perhaps even an Arsenal, if you want to put them into it. Controlled possession type game. United can't circulate the ball, and United just look like a bunch of strangers on the pitch. And once again, that is coaching. That's the manager. We can't play, and we have not been able to figure out a way to play against low blocks for the last 10 years, maybe, because we don't focus on buying players who are intelligent enough to rotate the ball, to move it, to find space, to keep moving it, to keep the ball. We don't play football in that way, and that, once again, is a big problem with United. The first half, really, from a Man United perspective, was that. That is what summed the first half for me. Typical United. And Ten Hag lineup and the system he chose was just wrong. I couldn't see a way for United to win this game. The second half now, going to the second half, the way it started, it didn't start any better. Casemiro came off for Eriksen. That's fine. Casemiro's played every game. Eriksen, the thing about Mount and Bruno and Eriksen, the midfield balance isn't right yet. It isn't right yet. You can't leave Casemiro by himself and have Mount and Bruno push up and just leave a big hole like a flipping donut. And putting on Eriksen didn't really change the game that much. I kind of understand why you want to bring on Eriksen, to have more control, to have more insightful passing, better passing perhaps. But it didn't really change the flow of the game. I saw that at the start of the second half, Mason Mount moved towards the right-hand side where Bruno was playing. So Bruno and Mount kind of swapped a little bit. Casemiro had a decent... Amrabat had a decent first half, but in the second half, like I said, nothing really changed. Rashford in the first half was quiet, apart from a few times when he had the ball. And we keep playing football this way. The football we play is give the ball to Rashford, let's see what Rashford can do, and that's it. The isolation type of football that we've seen United play for the last 5-6 years rather than the team-based football where everyone does one touch and the ball keeps moving around. That's the type of football that Sancho, Martial, Antony want to play. The whole give the ball to one player, Garnacho or Rashford, and have that winger isolate their fullback, do step overs and beat the winger and then do a cross. The isolation type football is fine. It's fine, but we need to do the whole give the ball back to the fullback. You run into a different space to receive the ball rather than you try to dribble past everybody and that beat a man. Listen, it's not always about beat a man. If you can play football without having to beat a man and just use the space, keep passing and moving, using the space, you can still be effective, It's so sometimes it's the way that we see football is so rigid. We're not able to see how some players negatively affect the team, even though they might have a positive effect in terms of stats. They might positively affect the team because they might have scored a goal and assist, but the overall game, the way they actually play, might be a deficit to the team or to the progression of the team. And those sort of nuances that we can hold those nuances in our head and have multiple different opposing thoughts that are all true at the same time, So that's kind of what I think. And like I said, second half we didn't really start any better. It's still give it to Rashford and hope. Brentford are really good, really quick to get back into their shape. The way that United were passing slow. We had and we didn't improve. The manager is under pressure. He made changes very quickly, more quickly than he made previously, and that's a good thing because before he was making changes at 80 minutes. Rashford came off and Mount came off in the 60th minute, which is a big call from the manager because he would never have taken Rashford off before. Very hesitant and Mount, but now he's willing to do that, and it shows that he's getting a bit desperate. The players that he's banking on are not delivering, so he's just rolling the dice. And those players came off for Garnacho and Antony. Garnacho might have been a bit more direct, and he probably, made the defender guess a bit more, second guess himself a little bit more. But once again, it didn't dramatically change the way we played. Antony didn't dramatically change the way we played. Lindelof came off for Martial. Martial, had a few touches, held the ball up a bit more. But once again, Brentford just looked comfortable. After those changes were made, I did not think United were going to score. We did not look like scoring. McTominay came on for Amrabat. We didn't look like scoring. So, when it became 90 minutes and we scored, but that goal was ruled off, I think, for offside, I was like, cool, that's it. It's done. We've lost at home again. This manager, surely we're going to have a deep conversation about him because he is getting things wrong. But no, Scot McTominay, this guy, listen, I'm not Scot McTominay's biggest fan. I don't think he's very good technically. But one thing Scott will always give you is that passion and that heart. He'll always give you that. And the 2 goals he scored, if I'm being honest, he took them really well. The half volley on the swivel, out of nowhere, really well taken goal. And the header, which I think was assisted by Maguire. Funny, Scot McTominay and Maguire, the 2 players that he didn't want, the 2 players that this manager tried to shift out the team are the 2 players that potentially could have saved him his job, while the players like Rashford and Bruno, who he's banking on, are not delivering. And that is football. That's football for you. That is the manager for you. That is a situation I have. My mind is saying we won this game. Scott scored literally 2 goals out of nowhere to rescue this Man United team at home against Brentford. I can't see how we're going to improve. I think this is going to be the pattern, the rhythm for the rest of the season until something dramatically happens. I think that at this moment, the manager seems like he's rolling the dice a little bit. He doesn't seem like he's very confident. He knows what he's doing. He's just trying all these different things. The Sancho situation I've mentioned before, I don't see the players really playing for him. I think some of the players are unhappy, and I think they're playing like they are unhappy with the way that he's treated Sancho, and I am unhappy with that also. Unless something dramatically changes, I think this manager is gone. maybe before the end of the season. What do you think? Let me know what you think. I've done a lot of talking and I'm out of breath. Let me know. Give me your input. What do you think of the manager? What do you think of the game? Do you agree with me with certain players getting scapegoated by other players or getting a free ride? How long do you think this manager has based on how we are playing? Are you happy with the performance? Who's playing well, who's not playing well? What do you think of the way we are playing, the way we are setting up our lineup? I want you guys to let me know. Give me some information, because for me, from my perspective, this is not good. We brought this manager in and I was happy to have this manager in because I thought he was going to implement a style of play that was so good to watch, but we are bad to watch. We do not play good football. Let's be real. Let's be honest. And it's a problem for me because that's 2 hours of my day I have to watch my team play and they're not playing well. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. Onwards and upwards, I guess. You know, the next match after the international break, a few weeks, I think it's a few weeks from now. Let me know if I'm right. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I don't know, man. There's nothing else for me to say. That's my view of the game. That's what I think. The manager needs to go back to basics. Stop with this whole, people are not training well and playing in Hannibal and all these things. Just play the players in their position and play your better players. Because right now it seems as if some of the players, they've down tools. This goalkeeper situation, I wanted to give Onana the benefit of the doubt as much as possible and not be one of those fans that jump on him straight away. But Onana he looks very unorthodox in the way he goalkeeps, and I'm worried about him. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Thank you for watching. Please share the video, like, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you can get to know when I was going to say when I'm live, but I am going to start doing live streams very soon. I am going to start doing live watch-alongs very soon, so watch this space. Yeah, thank you, guys. Have a good day. Peace out. If you're not